All right, YouTube, this is 2 Cent back with my 2 cents on Octopath Traveler, and today we're going to be talking about the Ri'tu Cup that's going to be coming Wednesday with our update this week. And I don't typically do a whole lot of fight spoiler sort of videos, but this is going to be one. So if you don't want to know anything about the weaknesses of the boss or the mechanics and stuff like that, go ahead and click off. Come back later after you defeat her or something like that, just to kind of see what my strategy was versus what you end up doing. So of course, there's going to be the fight mechanics themselves, but people are going to use different units and possibly a little bit different strategies to defeat them. I'm going to go over one way of kind of what I've seen from some of my JP friends who have been kind enough to throw a couple screenshots my way just to kind of help me out. And at that rate, let's get into it. All right, just to start off, Ri'tu going to be a thief in the power sort of tree there. And man, I really like her model. Looks really good. This is a really good looking, probably my favorite looking arena unit so far. So I'm pretty excited for that. I'm trying to give her a go. I'm gonna go, probably day one trying to fight her, which I haven't tried to fight any of the other released units in the arena on the first day that they came out. So this is going to be my first time doing that, and at the end of this video I'm going to kind of go through some of the lineup, the team that I'm going to be kind of utilizing and kind of trying out until I figure out something that works really well for her. Alright, so here we go. We have all the weaknesses here. The debuff there is actually coming in from Mino at the start of a fight that gives that wind attack debuff. So going to be a pretty good 4-star to bring to this fight if you can't fill your team with anything else, which I would say that if you have your mana already built up, I would probably go ahead and bring them for this. So, there's a little tip for you. But you can kind of see Ri'tu here in the back is going to be fire, wind, and light. So you can definitely, I'm sure, already have some people in mind of who you might bring to this fight already. And yes, Odette is going to be the MVP for this fight should you have her. Unfortunately, I pulled 100 pulls and didn't get her, which, coming in, like, knowing this cup was coming up was part of the reason I was trying to go for, and, luck just be the way it be sometimes. Alright, so, excuse my googly translate here, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what's going to be going on, but the ad in the middle, the one, at the bottom of the screen, is going to provide this physical attack up for everybody. So in your head, you might like, hey, I probably don't want that physical attack up, because that's going to be hard to survive. Now, granted, you're still going to want to, use your sort of Viola or Liana and negate as much damage as possible by lowering everybody's attack and elemental attack out there. I would say that you should probably prioritize at least the physical attack down, because we're going to have some really nasty hits from that. But it's always great. A lot of times they come with both. Also, if you have a way of boosting, your defense and stuff like that, you're going to want to, do that as well, because it is going to be pretty heavy damage out there. What is also interesting is that this battle came out much later in the JP lineup, and so they had like level 70 weapons, level like 68 armor and stuff like that. So I don't know exactly how they're gonna have this tuned for us. So we might get in there and it might be the same difficulty level, or it could be considerably harder for us. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see exactly how they do that. If they've left it the same way as JP, I just don't imagine that we're getting this done, besides like the more whaley side of folks on day one. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But this guy in the middle is going to do that physical attack up, so you're going to think, hey, I want to get rid of that unit as quick as possible, but there's going to be one problem with that. The ad up here at the top right is going to give themselves, this says protect, but if you guys, played around with a lot of other JRPGs, we know this also as cover. So they're going to cover and have a physical defense up. That's why in this fight, it's heavily suggested that you're bringing elemental damage. For one, Ri'tu is only weak to the elemental damage. This ad's only weak to elemental damage. So you want to be able to kill the other ad, but you can't get through to that ad because we have a cover here. So you might as well just be bringing elemental damage. That way you can kind of soak through this individual and take care of the other ad. Basically, with that protect up, you're going to just kind of be cycling through some AoE sort of hits to try and bring his shield down, as well as work on Ri'tu's shield. And then when you have him broke, you can kind of AoE everybody, with the idea that eventually you'll take out this ad who's protecting and take out, the second ad that's down there that's been providing that attack up, and then focus at the end of the fight for Ri'tu. So that's going to at least be my strategy on it and from my understanding of the fight. So here's kind of some of the travelers that I'm going to be bringing along. First one being Anya's. I need a regen caster out there. We're also going to get access to being able to do some wind damage if I need it for the fight there. We're going to get that protect. This is another reason I really wanted to bring her, is to get that protect up for my whole front row. We're going to be taking a massive amount of physical damage here, and that's going to be even more accelerated towards the end when they're getting some crit buffs on top of the physical attack buffs. It's going to hurt. With that, I'm worried that some of the RNG of the fight, between who's going to get hit with the multi-hit attacks, if it's not spread out enough, I'm going to probably lose some individuals, so I'm going to bring a revive on her. This is just a nicety because I have 4 slots for her, but if you have somebody out there that has it, this might be a fight to bring it, because there's going to be, you might be able to, protect a list against some of the RNG factors that might come about. And then, of course, another sort of staple for us in our fights is Lynette, being able to boost up my own team with, physical and elemental attack up, which mostly just elemental at this point, But we're also going to get access to some fire skills that can also lower some additional fire resist. And then I'm going to bring a nuke for her just to kind of help out, especially towards the end of the fight where if I might lose some of my DPS or something, she can really kind of power in there to kind of help fill that on the backside. Next, we're going to be bringing another sort of support character in Liana. This is really going to help to add another heal if I need to in there to keep things going, as well as adding that elemental attack up. The elemental defense, not going to be as great for this, but that elemental attack up, especially since I have her at level 88, it's going to be able to, if I have it, maxed out or boosted or something like that, it'll extend the amount of time that duration is on there. Which will just add on to Lynette to be able to kind of cap out my elemental damage, which I'm going to need because I am kind of going to be a little lackluster in my damage without having Odette here. And at the beginning, that one ad is weak to ice, and so I do plan on being able to utilize her to, for one, impart the single foe physical and elemental attack down, utilizing, she'll be pairing with Viola for that, and then being able to extend that with the kind of, 3-hit ice there to kind of make sure that I keep all of those on as I'm kind of working that first ad down, and then towards the end of the fight she'll be kind of in that mode where she'll just be extending that debuff while also healing. All right, and so here's gonna be my first main attacker for this. It's gonna be Tikilin. I've just been kind of working her up on the side, trying to kind of get her at least a little bit ready for this, but these units still need to get a few more levels. I'm not very comfortable with that 81, but I think we might be able to get the job done. So I'm just going to bring a bunch of her different sort of wind attacks here, just to kind of, whatever's going to be best in that specific time frame. So I certainly don't really want to use a random wind at the beginning when I'm getting the cover from the person who doesn't take wind damage. So we'll be using the kind of chain wind blade for all foes at the beginnings there. So, and then we can kind of transition later. And then I still have my howling wind for my nuke there towards the end of the battle. All right, we're also going to be bringing Tressa. We're going to get some wind damage out of her. She's going to be able to kind of provoke and raise our physical attack up. With the physical attack up isn't going to be useful here, so we're just going to need it if we need to provoke to, try and take some of those attacks. And then grant the ability to self-dodge. So basically, I want to have the dodge up before I do the provoke, so she can kind of dodge those to kind of mitigate some of the rounds out there to kind of help the flow of it. I don't know if we were going to particularly need this, but I'm kind of worried about that kind of damage outflow. So I'm going to put her in at the beginning and see how hard I'm getting hit during this fight. All right, and I think I'm also going to bring Varkin. He's only level 60 right now, so I need to get him a few more levels before I'm super comfortable bringing him. But I thought it might be nice to bring two of the other arena champions in to fight this one, especially since we can utilize this kind of light damage and light kind of nuking abilities for at least the latter half of the fight. After that first ad is down, might be a nice kind of reprieve for whoever is on the front. Maybe their SP problems. I can switch out and utilize them without kind of missing a beat there. All right, and no surprise here, we kind of talked about her earlier. Viola being able to come in here to kind of provide that debilitate and that anti-attack, kind of helping there with Liana. And then she's also got a fire attack here for everybody that also imposes another physical defense down. Once again, we're not using a lot of physical attack, so that's not going to be a huge thing, but we are going to get at least a fire attack there should we want to kind of help with that, or we can use the double up there, to get rid of some shield points. It's not the best. She's going to be mostly support here. Not going to rely on her a lot for tackling shields or damage. All right, and for my last slot, I'm a little up in the air. I have a couple choices here, but I liked the idea of maybe bringing Adele. I'm not obviously going to be caring too much about the damage that she can kind of put out, but I do have the ability to do light, damage to all foes ×2, or I have the ability to kind of guarantee some shield break here. So what I'm kind of thinking is, since Odell is just the fastest unit that I have on my team, if I'm trying to get a unit into a break before all my other big hitters come out, I can utilize her to initiate that break and kind of make sure I can guarantee to get the biggest damage off during those rounds that I can. So that's going to be one of the options there for me to kind of fill that last slot. Mino's also an option out there, but I haven't built up my Mino, which is why I haven't put it on here. The only other real option I have is maybe bringing in Scarecrow, but the elemental attack is just so, low, and it's the kind of random hit, and I don't know. I'm just not too thinking it's going to be that great of an idea to bring him for it. But I'll kind of play around with the slot and kind of see which way kind of works out best. All right, and that's kind of my preliminary guide for doing the Ri'tu fight. Let me know if you have any other vastly different ideas or different sort of strategies, something I missed or something like that. Always put that down below. If I feel that there's something really important, I'll go ahead and pin that comment. That way everybody else benefits from it as well. And that's been my 2 cents.